Assalamu alaikum class. My name is Aska Iftikhar. Today I am going to present my poster on the concept of othering. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you didn't belong? Like people looked at you and saw something else. Not you, but a label, a stereotype, and a threat. Or maybe, and this is harder to admit, have you ever done that to someone else? That feeling, that act of exclusion had a name. It's called othering. Othering is not just a theory, it's something we all experience or participate in, sometimes without even realizing it. So let me break it down simply. Othering is the process of seeing a person or an entire group of people as fundamentally different from you. Different to the point where they seem alien, strange, even less than human. This difference is almost never neutral. The dominant group, the people in power, don't just see the others as different, they see them as inferior, less worthy, less civilized, less deserving. That's othering. Let me break down how othering actually works. There are four main characteristics that you should know about. First, there is binary opposition. This is just a fancy way of saying us versus them. The dominant group decides that they are normal, civilized, and superior, and the other group is the complete opposite, abnormal, primitive, and inferior. Second is dehumanization. The dominant group starts to strip away the humanity of the other group. They might be compared to animals called savages or portrayed as a threat. And why do people do this? Because once you stop seeing someone as fully human, it becomes much easier to justify discrimination, violence, and even exclusion from society. Third, we have stereotyping and generalization. Instead of seeing individuals with unique personalities and stories, the dominant group reduces everyone in the other group to a few negative stereotypes based on their race, their religion, their culture, or their gender. And fourth, there is silencing and erasure. This means that the other is not allowed to speak for themselves. Instead, the dominant group claims the authority to define them, to describe them, and to speak on their behalf. The person being other loses their voice. Now, where does this concept come from? It's a huge idea in post-colonial theory. Here's the key quote from my poster. Imperialism's key discursive strategy, constructing the colonized as the negative mirror image of the civilized European. It says that when European powers colonized countries in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, they needed a reason to justify what they were doing. So they created this image of colonized people as irrational, backward, and exotic. They painted themselves as civilized and rational. This us versus them binary mode colonialism looked like a noble civilizing mission instead of what it really was, exploitation and domination. This way of thinking didn't end when colonies gained independence. It still shapes modern racism, xenophobia against immigrants, and even nationalism today. So, why does othering matter? What does this actually do? First, it justifies power. If you can convince people that the other is inferior, then dominating them, ruling over them, or even taking their lands starts to feel acceptable. Second, it helps with identity construction. This might sound weird, but the dominant group actually needs the other to know who they are. They define themselves by what they are not. I am civilized because you are primitive. I am normal because you are strange. Without the other, their own identity starts to feel shaky. One of the most important thinkers on this topic was a man named Edward Said. He was a Palestinian American scholar, and in 1978 he published a book called Orientalism. In that book, he showed how the Western world basically invented a fake version of the Orient, the middle class, Asia, North Africa as their exotic, mysterious backward place. And why did they do that? So they could feel superior and justify colonizing those regions. Said's work completely change how we understand othering. Another key thinker is Frantz Fanon. He was a psychiatrist and philosopher. He wrote two really famous books, Black Sin, White Mask, and The Wretched of the Earth. Fanon explored the psychological damage that colonialism and othering cause. He showed how colonized people can actually start to believe the negative things that are said about them. They internalize the inferiority that projected onto them. It's a very painful and violent dynamic, and Fanon's work helped us understand why decolonization is not just about political freedom, it's also about mental and psychological freedom.